Yep.
You're on.
Okay.
Move to open the meeting at 7:01.
Second.
All in favor of opening the meeting of the Groveland Conservation Commission on August 23rd, say aye.
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 Opposed, unanimous. Okay, so we have a pretty full agenda tonight, and we're going to start off with our public hearings. Let's see. All right. The first hearing is a continuation of 6 Katy Lane, formerly 106 King Street, Lot 8. And this is a notice of intent for a new single-family home within the resource area. We continued this from our last meeting due to a lack of the DEP number, which we need before we can issue our orders. But I hear that we do have it.
Yes, the DEP number for this project is 030-0481.
Okay, and so I don't think there's any other information that we need for this order, right?
No, you will see in front of you, there is a updated set of plans. At the last meeting, the commission had requested some of the markers to be moved, and so the plan you have in front of you shows those changes. But other than that, there were no other requests of the board for the plans.
Okay. So I think we're ready to close the hearing and issue the order. Somebody want to make a motion to that effect?
I'm going to recuse myself, just for the record.
Will I make a motion to accept the plans as they are with the new markers for Katy Lane and close out the hearing?
Second on that?
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Any questions on this vote? Any discussion, any other final questions from the board? Okay, seeing none, then I think we're ready to vote. All in favor of issuing the orders of condition for 6 Katy Lane, the new single-family home within the resource area, as previously documented in our meetings, and close the hearing, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Okay.
Wait.
I think what I would like to do, I'm proposing that we do the 379 Main Street and the 37 Dwinell Street.
I'm sorry, I forgot. Paul has a meeting he has to get to in North Andover. Another commission meeting, sorry.
Okay.
The thought just occurred to me.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
we probably could get through these fairly quickly.
I don't believe the applicant for 379 Main Street is here. Sorry, that was off. I don't believe the applicant and representative for 379 Main Street are here yet.
Are they coming?
They should be.
Okay.
The last time I heard that they were.
All right, well, let's do One Manor Drive, and I'll make a motion to move 379 Main Street to the end.
I'm going to recuse myself for this one, too.
Is there a second on that motion?
Second.
Any questions on that? Just to keep things moving. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Unanimous. Okay, so we'll open the hearing. This is a continuation of the notice of intent for One Manor Drive to add, do some construction on the rear of 7 buildings and add some drainage, all within jurisdictional area. And So I'll make a motion to reopen the hearing for One Manor Drive.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so we did do a site visit on Monday night, and hopefully we got most of our questions answered. First, I'll ask if any of the commissioners have any other concerns or questions that came up due to the site visit.
I'm just concerned about how 7 new sump pumps are going to affect the flow of the intermittent stream. So how do we figure that out?
Well, I believe at the last meeting, we were told by the wetland scientist that it wasn't going to radically affect the flow in the intermittent stream, especially since it is an intermittent stream, so it's not flowing all the time anyway. What would you propose?
I'm not sure. Is there somebody else who can? I'm concerned because the abutter who was here last week expressed concern over the flow near her house, so. And I know that that's one of the things that we're supposed to watch out for is how flow is going to be affected.
Sure.
So I guess I just want to be reassured.
Well, I guess I would propose that, we get notification after each one is completed, so that maybe Annie can, monitor them if we get rains and see what's happening, or just on a regular basis, so that each time one's put in, we can watch for the additional flow, if there is any. I mean, we know that one building will probably continue to put something in. I don't know about the other ones. And so it would be good to check as they go along. And I think, if we see something that's concerning, we can stop that.
Okay, so ongoing monitoring is one answer. Okay.
I mean, again, the designs are to the engineering specs for the water, and I don't know how you pursue anything further than that. So I think the plan that they've provided technically is legitimate. How you assess what happens because of nature, I don't, we can only say, let's take a look at what happens after each one is put in. That's my proposal.
Yep. We actually, I don't believe we have any proof that there's going to be any additional impact to the stream that isn't already there, because somewhere those, and even the one that was in existence, they're all pumping out somewhere, whether it's going into the ground
Yeah,
or
that's
whatever.
true,
you
yeah.
know. So I don't know that the impact is really going to change. But, it's understandable. Certainly, I think the concern of other residents that live around there should be taken into account. But I don't know what we can really do to be 100% assured. I would have to say I'm probably 90% assured, but I don't know that I could get anything else that would make me 100% assured that it wasn't going to impact something.
Is it
Okay.
possible to have the amount of flow coming out of each sump pump monitored with some type of accumulation gauge? That way there we can kind of see after the first one, and as the other ones are done, we can see if they're just very intermittent, if they really have much water in the basement, if it's going to be adding significant amount to the stream.
Paul Bergman and Associates for the record. I'm not introduce a flow meter in the line, or an hour meter on, thank you.
Sorry, either a flow meter in line or an hour meter on the sump motor. I'm outside my pay grade, so
No,
please.
Understandable.
I mean, it's doable. I just think you would have to say, we're going to just look at this for a time, because we can't impose this on them forever, because who knows what's going to happen. So,
Yep.
So if we decide to do that, I think you have to specify, we'd want it on for X number of days, and then you move it to the next one, so they're not, they're not buying 7 and so.
So from what was explained to us, you're planning on doing 2 Manor Drive first, and then going and not putting these all in at one time.
That's my understanding.
All right,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
as was just said, you can leave it on there, we can get a little history of amount of runtime, and we can move it to the next one when you do it, and see if there's really any runtime or much, and then move it to the next one, then we can just really see if there's a significant amount of flow coming out of these basements.
And a 2-man drive, for everybody's interest, the one with the fire, the 4th building on the right. Yep. And as you said a minute ago, that's the one that requires the new balcony on the back, because the balcony came off as part of the fire.
So something like, as each building is done, you put the flow meter on there, say for 3 months, monitor it, monitor the flow. Meanwhile, we're monitoring the conditions outside, and then once 3 months have gone by, you give us a report about the total flow, and then move it to the next one. That will provide enough documentation for us that if there's some big event, because honestly, we wouldn't know necessarily that the stream was, a huge amount of flow. It was, and we would be able to go, say, and require that you put the flow meters back in and do a measurement again if for some reason it appeared that they were impacting, by our observation, that they were impacting the stream. Does that make sense? It's an additional, because otherwise, I think Bill's idea is good to monitor them, but we don't have any concrete measurement that we're doing. It's all just what it looks like, right? But at least with a flow meter, we could say, oh, the flow hasn't changed, and yet the stream is being impacted. Maybe it's something else that's causing that. Maybe it's the weather or something, right?
Well, and I guess we chatted about it do we then, is it possible to make an intermittent stream perennial through our actions? And I know that it's, and that's why we need to see how much water comes out.
Yeah, but there's other reasons why perennial versus intermittent exists. It has to do with the watershed, the size of it, and other things. So personally, I don't think we could make a perennial stream, a intermittent stream perennial, no matter how much stuff we were pumping into it.
Okay.
Again, like I said, we chatted, it was, maybe it was just a thought that,
Yeah,
but somebody's going to say that always flows, and then we're going to have, wetland scientists say, yes, but it only flows because of this, not because of this, and that.
yep.
Are you concerned about damage of the stream from the sump pump flow?
No, I think the concern is that it's impacting other properties when you go down the line. Some of those houses that are on Main Street, both on both sides of the driveway, if we're increasing the flow into that stream and into the wetlands that are on the right-hand side when you're going out. I think that's the main concern.
I would add to that, those downstream properties are probably getting affected already by climate.
Yes.
So I'd be curious about how you could evaluate or separate the impacts from sump water versus overland.
Well, I guess the concern, though, is contributing to the excess flow with the sump
No, I
flow.
So I think, monitoring it and checking it for how much water, it probably protects everybody, your clients and our concerns, right? Again, right now, we don't know how that water's going in. We know it goes out a pipe underground, so it's probably, filtering through over a much wider area. Now we know we're going to bring it down into the riprap, slow it down, but it's going to be a little bit more concentrated. So that, I think doing the monitoring to make ourselves comfortable, both sides, that we aren't doing anything different. Because at some point, if, again, if we look at it and the stream dries up and we say, yep, this is good, it's just protection for those events that can happen.
Okay, yep.
I do like the idea of a flow meter. Smart.
Yeah, I'm sure there's something that
Oh,
we
yeah.
can do that with.
There's all-
Good.
So Annie, you understand, so we want a condition in there regarding this.
And then, as far as the construction of the decks and the stairways in the back, I just noticed the other day when we were there was some lumber that was being stored nearby. Are we going to have specific areas where construction materials can be stored?
Yeah, I mean, that's typical of our orders.
Okay.
All the standard things will be in the order that we normally would say for, a house
Perfect.
construction work.
Okay.
Anything else? Any other comments by anyone in abutters here that want to ask any other further questions? Okay.
Mike, I know you wanted to talk about the fine.
Oh, yes, yes. So, Paul, there is a fine that we issued back, I believe it was in April or somewhere around there. Is there any response on that from the owners of the property?
I honestly don't know. How much was that? Oh, how much was that fine?
I think it was,
If you give me 1 second, I can pull it
Sure.
up. We issued this in April 24th, 2023. This letter is to notify you, yeah, this is the, okay. This letter is, well, it's up there, I'm not gonna read it, but there you go. It was $12,000.
okay. And we haven't received any response, any,
I have not received
nothing,
anything.
no communication regarding this fine. Okay. Well, I don't think we can really close the hearing until we settle this matter. So, I think I'm going to have to make a motion to continue the hearing until our next meeting, when that issue can be worked out, but everything else is in place. So we're all ready to close it. We just need to hear from the owners regarding what they intend to do about the fine,
I don't think we were even brought on board when that was, what was the fine for again?
Well, there were two issues. One was that they were pumping water into the buffer zone randomly, and it was making a mess. And the other one was that, I believe these are the two issues. The other one was that they were pumping water into the street, and it was washing all the sand and silt down into the wetlands by the entrance of the property. So there were 2 counts that they were fined for. And I believe it was 60 days, but again, I don't have the specifics of it.
Yeah, we put 20 days.
20
Or
days?
20 days, yeah. $300 a day, 20 days.
Do you want us to give you a copy of the letter, Paul, so you can address it with the owners?
It just strikes me as a huge fine. I was just curious as to what they did to justify that.
Well-
$12,000?
It's because our fine for this type of thing, they had 2 counts, so it's $300 a day for each count. So that's what it worked out to be. But, you know, they never came back. They never said, oh, hey, this isn't fair. They never said, oh, we'll pay it, or we won't pay it. We never heard anything from them, so,
Okay.
you know. So Annie, maybe we can give Paul a copy of that letter.
Would you like me to forward you a copy of it? Okay,
Please.
certainly.
Okay, so did we have a second on my motion?
I'll second.
Okay.
We need to pick a date and time certain to continue.
Say that again?
We need to pick a date and time certain to continue the meeting too. And we're going to talk about our next meeting, and when that would be now.
Well, tentatively, it should be September 13th, so why don't we'll vote to continue to September 13th, barring any change in our schedule, right?
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so the motion is to continue the hearing on 1 Manor Drive to our next meeting, tentatively being September 13, 2023.
I'll still second.
Okay. Any other questions on that? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, let's see. Do we have the folks for 379 Main Street here? Yes. Okay, all right, so we'll go to that one then. So I'll make a motion to open the meeting continue the meeting for 379 Main Street, notice of intent for work primarily outside of the building within jurisdictional area.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous. And we'll note that Terry has resumed being in the meeting.
Thank you.
Killed a few trees there, huh?
Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Ryan McShare from Red Barn Architecture, 8 to 10 Martin Street in Essex, Massachusetts, here representing the project for 379 Main Street. You might recall from our last meeting, you guys had asked for a couple of points of clarification around the drywall system. So we went back, we have selected a drywall component, a precast concrete drywall component that we'll be installing in the front yard for this project. We also went through and did a little bit of the math to figure out where the high point will be on the back corner of the building for this drainage system. Chased around the pitch all the way to the front of the house so that we could establish how deep this drywall will be sitting as well. So we've got that information on the plans, as well as a cut sheet of the precast concrete drywall that we'll be employing for the project. And I think those are the only items that we had for you all for this meeting.
Where's it drain into?
It's draining to the front yard in the area where we have the two shell parking strips.
Got
and
it.
that's that element right there.
Down the hill,
Exactly.
as it should.
Any further questions regarding this? Any questions regarding it, the work? Pretty straightforward, concrete dry well.
Ryan, just to make sure, the applicants are aware of the seasonal restriction that begins November 1st, correct? Did we
They
discuss
are.
this at the last meeting?
Exactly.
Okay, just
Yep.
wanted to make sure that.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Are there any butter questions?
No one has any questions?
And we asked a bunch of questions
Yeah,
last time.
no, I mean,
And we're all really excited to
this
have,
this is what we talked about last time, so it's really nothing new, and so it doesn't surprise me that we don't really have any other questions on the work. So, in that case, then, someone can make a motion.
No.
motion to approve the project at 379 Main Street as written.
Second.
Okay. Yep, so this was a notice of intent, and so we're going to issue our orders of condition and close the hearing, right? Sure. Change
And
the
close the
motion.
hearing.
Okay, to change the, add those things to the
Thank you.
motion. And there was a second, right?
Yep.
Okay, any other comments on the motion? Okay, hearing none then, we'll take a vote. All in favor of the motion to approve the notice of intent for the exterior work at 379 Main Street and issue the orders of condition, say aye.
Aye.
And close the hearing, yes. Unanimous?
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we'll note that Tom Schaefer has joined the meeting.
Noted.
Okay, the last hearing is for new filing. So I'll make a motion to open the hearing for 37 Dwinell Street for a notice of intent to construct a new dock along the Merrimack River. Is there a second?
Second.
I'm going for the trifecta today.
Yeah. Moved and seconded that we open the hearing for 37 Dwinell Street, notice of intent. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Unanimous, okay. I believe you're on, Al.
Yeah, I don't really have, I think Amy probably, or who wants the,
Oh, yeah, the paperwork.
yeah. So this is, going to.
So tell us who you are.
I'm Al Couillard. I'm a friend of the applicant. I've been through this process before, so I told him I'd help him. Probably build the dock for him so I can answer any questions that you have about the construction of the pad and things relating to the dock, if you have any questions.
Yeah, so we did a site visit. I don't remember the exact date, but it was August 2nd, I think it was.
Do we have any plans for this, or?
The plans we have
Or-
are included.
Oh, okay.
This is what we received.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for putting these photos in.
Is there the location of the pad on the sidewalk?
Yes, it was part of the study. I don't have them.
So I have a question here. Can you just kind of re-explain the pad and how it's going to be secured to the banking?
Yeah, so it's secured to the banking with helical pilings, and they are just basically a metal rod with, that gets twisted into the ground.
Can you see that?
Through that. And then the top of it gets incorporated into the concrete pad.
Thank you.
I've used those before on a couple different projects. They're really effective.
And so this pad is permanent, it's the dock that's seasonal, is that
Correct.
right? Okay.
Correct.
The only impact to the shore is really that cement pad that you put in, right?
Correct. So I'll put down a 3x5, 2x8, and then I'll put it in place, and I'll remove the organic material. I'll put the helo sticks in, and then I'll pour concrete on that, and then I'll incorporate the bolts that hold the ramp in that pad. So the pad will just be 8 inches high off the grass all around, and I'll have the 2 bolts sticking out to attach the ramp to. It'll be 8 inches high, so that won't touch the grass, and that will go right down to the floating dock. It'll be aluminum ramp that goes right from that pad right to that dock, and we won't touch the bank.
So that's in addition to the 900-pound blocks that'll be in the river? Or am I
The
confusing it?
900 down blocks in the river are different, yeah, that's to hold the dock in place.
Right, so I'm just looking at the plan, it doesn't,
So the docks get floated over by the harbor master, they get built at
Right.
at Kashmir, and then they get floated over, and they get released in the river. That we don't build them and carry them down the bank or anything.
right, but on the plan, the platform you're building, it actually would go underneath the removable platform that's shown here? That's,
No.
Sorry, where, Tom?
Yeah, I think there's bolts that come out of the pad.
there's one right before that, at least the way the sequence is here. Don't you? Yeah, see what I mean?
This here?
this one? Sorry, it's crooked.
Hang on. Yes.
Yeah, those are built at off-site and installed by the harbor master, and those are included in the project, yeah.
Right, no, I get that. So on the left, though, on the riverbank, you're putting in the helical pilings, you're putting the concrete slab above that.
This is what you're asking about?
Right, and then in addition to that, those blocks are going to go right on the bank, and then there'll also be some anchor blocks holding the dock, or am I misunderstanding?
Yeah.
Oh, cool, okay.
Yeah, this,
Or is it an old plan?
it's an old plan.
Okay.
So that block that you're seeing doesn't exist. We're gonna go from the pad right down to the.
To the floating
right down to the
docks.
floating dock. I'm sorry about that.
Okay, no, that's all right.
That 900-pound, or whatever that is, doesn't exist in what we're gonna do.
Right, okay.
Yeah, it says 4, not, so those aren't part of it, right?
Right.
And is this a project that comes under review for the Army Corps of Engineers?
No, I don't, if you're gonna build a dock that has permanent pilings and a permanent ramp out into,
And these are not permanent pilings?
no. This is a seasonal dock. The only thing that holds it in is these anchors, and it goes in the spring and out in the fall. Like in Newburyport, you see the big docks and you see a ramp off them?
Yep.
Those have pilings in them. Those are Army Corps of Engineer. If you want to put something permanent and leave it there, that's Army Corps of Engineers. This
So the
is-
pad that's on the riverbank itself does not count
Army-
as something permanent?
No.
Army Corps of Engineers is only waterways,
Okay,
like,
even though this is waterway adjacent?
but no, that's not their jurisdiction.
Okay. And then what about the MISA Natural Heritage here? Did we hear from them?
They wouldn't reach out to us, I don't think anyway. This application was submitted to them. The filing fee was not paid at the time. They had to get their fee before they could review it.
Okay, so it has not yet been reviewed by Natural Heritage?
It's been reviewed. What's the date on that?
This was dated August 17th, the letter stating that they needed the check.
So it has not been reviewed?
I don't know. This is the first I've seen
They
this
don't-
email.
They don't ever get back to any board in the state.
Unless they have something, right?
I mean, but regardless, it wouldn't be our,
I've never seen them have anything. in
it
20
wouldn't be
years.
our jurisdiction if it was.
Oh, yeah, no. I
Because
know.
it's, yeah.
If they had something to contact us.
You're talking about natural heritage.
Yeah.
Right on the notice of intent here.
Yeah, right, that's a requirement. But only, if you were building something along the river and it was within eagle nesting area, then we would hear from them sooner or later. Usually, they're pretty quick. I know on the turtle stuff,
Oh, goodness.
they're pretty
Yeah.
quick on it. So I suspect that if we haven't heard anything by now,
Well, but they haven't reviewed it because they didn't get a check.
I mean, for anything that we've done within turtle habitat, we've never heard from them. Like for
Okay.
Brad Legal's property, the 833 Salem Street, he had to go through a full MISA permitting and we were never made aware formally. I mean, Brad told me because I know, and from the planning perspective, but.
Okay, so our job is just to make sure this little box is checked.
Yes, so that MISA does become aware. It's like how the Board of Health sends every single septic plan to me, regardless of where it is,
Okay.
to ensure that, if it doesn't slip through the cracks. So that's what this is, essentially.
but sometimes they usually will issue a letter that says, if there's a take or a suspected take for estimated habitat, they'll send us a letter. And usually, we wouldn't, it depends what it is, but we might want to wait in that case until we hear what Natural Heritage is making the person do. If they're saying, you can't do this at all, it's a take, blah, 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 whatever. So, but like I say, and that usually comes pretty quickly. I don't remember any time that we
I just
haven't
think
got that right away.
If we're dealing with the actual river, we should probably
These are like,
be extra careful.
these are condos all up and down the river, there's hundreds of them.
Yes, but we haven't put a dock in since I've been on the commission for several years, so.
It's new to you, but it happens a lot.
I'm just wondering if we need a peer review.
A peer review?
Yeah, based on
No.
what
We're
We-
not-
based on what the bank looks
But
like,
they're
and
not touching the
they're
bank.
taking trees down,
No, we're cutting down a tree that's fallen.
Mm-hmm.
Not picking any-
but it's still alive, correct?
I don't know, I'm not an arborist. It
We-
looked
we-
very healthy to me.
Our policy, I believe, is, we only want a peer review on more than single-family homes because it's kind of cost prohibitive to have peer reviews on single-family residences.
I want to say in the, whatever, 15 years or whatever the heck I've been here, I think this is the third dock maybe that we've had. We don't get a lot, or the houses already have docks that have them. So, yeah, and I don't think we've ever gotten a peer review.
Okay.
I don't believe.
But again, the dock, the ramp and the dock are not even touching the bank. They're going to be.
Well, the bank that we saw.
The bank is, you'll have the concrete pad, and that's what we have to, weigh in on, but if it's the aluminum ramp that's not touching the dock.
Right, well, the bank that we saw is eroding away based on this photo of Terry standing at the top of it. So I guess I just want to make sure we don't contribute to that.
They'll have to come to us again when the pad slips or something. I mean, if they're gonna lose the bank, they're gonna lose the bank whether they do this or not. Right? I mean, we're not stopping what's happening right now, and we're not in a position to make them do anything about the erosion.
No, that's not what I just want to make sure that we're not contributing to the erosion of the riverbank
So how would it contribute?
by placing this giant cement pad on top of it. Will that impact the soil?
No. How big was the pad again? 3 by 5?
But you're supporting it on the piles though, right? The helical piling?
Yeah,
Well, yeah, so it's actually gonna be.
the piles are what.
In-
hold it
in-
place, and you see what those are, those are just,
Yeah.
those are 2 inches diameter, then they have the large fin on the bottom, that prevents it from pulling up.
So I'm looking at a image, I don't know when the satellite was taken, so, and I wasn't on the sidewalk, I apologize, but it looks like it's all grass up to the edge, and then looking, you have a bunch of trees there, so you're just taking that one tree that's in the photograph that's leaning over,
It's, yeah,
and there's no other little trees, like there's, for the people who are on
we
the
picked that
site,
spot because it was the least intrusive.
it was a clear path to get down there,
The people on the sidewalk thought that as well.
yeah.
We were willing to put the dock, if the board had a different location for the dock,
Right.
certainly willing to do that, but I think the only thing to say is
So, okay.
Any other concerns?
So, well,
Questions?
I think where Stephanie was going, so if, from what, there's an email that was included in this where you were describing what's happening. So you're putting in the helical pilings 2 feet into the ground. And is it just going to erode away in 6 months or the next big storm we have and then?
This pad will eventually rot away probably as the Merrimack River goes, but I don't think anybody on this board will be alive.
Well, I'm thinking it's going to,
20 or 30
No.
years maybe.
so how far back off the mean high water mark is
It
it?
looked like 8 to 10 feet, 6 to 8 feet maybe from the edge of the grass that you see in those photos.
Okay, so it's quite a ways back now.
Quite a ways back.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't think the problem is the dock or the pad. We know there are erosion problems all along the Merrimack Bank there.
Only for
And-
about 200 years.
Yeah. And so, I mean, we've seen this at other
Yeah.
properties further down towards West Newbury that are lower. This case is more kind of like some of the
Well,
problem
defined, it's higher.
that's going on behind the Pines over towards Marion Ave, right?
Yeah, my dock on Marion was much lower than this. It
Yeah.
was maybe only about 8 feet off the bank. My ramp was not sloped very steep, maybe 10 or 15% grade. This one will probably be much steeper.
And so how much impact did you see of erosion over
Well,
the time?
We grew while we were there, we planted alpaca sandra, and we made the bank better. It was pretty barren when we started, and then we did a whole bunch of Pachysandra planting, which the board suggested,
Yeah,
and some other plantings.
Yeah.
And it ended up more growth,
Yeah.
still to this day, I think. I moved 8 years ago, but
yeah. So the trouble is, this bank is so high, it's difficult to grow, and steep, that it's difficult to grow anything there. So,
yeah, I
guess-
mean, if there's something that we could do to
I-
help
I
that
know.
bank, I would. But I don't think there is. I think nature's gonna run its course there.
probably the first thing that would happen is those trees would start falling down.
Yeah.
So there's no indication that they are right now, but,
Yeah, there's a couple on each side you can see in the pictures that are pretty strong, not leaning very much. Those roots seem to be pretty stable.
so, if it were my home, I would do everything I could to prevent any further erosion,
Yeah, I think we're doing everything we can to, I mean, I think this plan is the least amount of impact that you could.
Yeah. No, I personally, I don't see where that dock is gonna have any impact
I don't
on
think
the erosion.
I don't think so
The
either.
erosion is gonna occur for other reasons besides whether that pad is there, but, that's only my personal opinion.
Can we suggest replacing the tree that's being removed with a suitable native?
Sure, I'm sure the applicant would do that, right?
Sure.
Question is where, though?
Yeah.
Well, somewhere.
Because of.
Like, probably further back, I mean.
Yeah, somewhere on the bank, whether it's down below or up above. right?
Yeah, I mean, we don't want it to wash away in a year.
No.
You guys tell me where and I'll plant it.
I wonder, do we have better luck with shrubs?
I was gonna
That's
say a
like,
shrub would be much better, because
Right.
that's,
Something that has, just more, well, maybe not more roots, but grows quicker or something, or,
it won't
I mean,
catch the wind.
elderberries grow in the water.
I think you ask them to plant some shrubs, go from there.
Well, we can just indicate replacement with a native tree or shrub.
Okay.
yeah, something that'll try and secure the dirt a little bit better.
Any other questions, any other comments?
Is this going to be done this year or after April 15th?
I'd like to try and get it done this year.
Okay.
If I can, I don't know if I can,
It's,
probably in the spring. And
Yeah, as
probably
long as it's-
Better to wait till the spring,
yeah, not during the seasonal restriction.
not during the season
Yeah.
restriction.
Okay. Any questions or concerns from abutters in the audience? No?
Just make a statement?
Statement?
Butter?
Well, I received a letter on
Okay,
the next street over.
okay, I think we have a microphone.
Could you just state your name and address for the record, please? Thank you.
Mike Sidlow, I live on 20 Cranton Ave, and I've lived there for 23 years, and I've walked the banking every year in the spring, and I think I've noticed any erosion that happened, it seemed like it was when there was ice. And I don't have a problem with the dock. I can see where it's going to go. So I just want it known that I don't have a problem with it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
I also, my name's Paul Lucetta, I live at 23 Grant Ave. I don't need that, no good. I back up to Friday's property, I've been there for 33 years. I welcome the dock, I think it's great that somebody can enjoy a property they own along the river. And, yeah, I too am in the woods all the time, have walked that property many a times, and erosion's gonna happen, right? It's Mother Nature. I don't see any problem with the dock. I support that as well, so.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you. Okay,
Checks will be in the mail.
So the one tree that's coming down, you're going to cut it and then pull it out of the river?
That was
Or-
what I thought I would do, unless you've got something else.
No, I don't think we,
Coordinate that in the spring when the docks are coming over, so that maybe we can float it across to the marina instead of trying to pull it up the bank.
That would be good.
yeah, just don't let it go down the river, I think.
I've lost
It'd
my
make some
favorite
unhappy
parts of that
people.
river. I'm not letting any trees go.
Yeah. How do we want to make sure that only that tree goes? Because we've had other issues where people get a little aggressive with the chainsaw.
Oh, well, we're just going to say take down one tree or whatever.
Can we maybe have a inspection beforehand and then
Oh,
after?
yeah, well, there's pre-construction meeting, standard stuff.
I guess, Andy, if you can just maybe take note of the trees or take pictures or something. Because it doesn't,
Your intention was just to take that large leaning
Just that
tree
one
down, right?
large one that's pretty much gone.
Yeah, it's already pretty much fallen down, so,
might be gone by this spring.
could be.
You never know.
All right, is there a motion on this hearing?
I'll make a motion, we approve the dock at 37 Dwinell Street with the changes indicated, what was submitted, that the 4 900-pound blocks will not be installed, and instead I believe it was a 3x4, 3x5 pad, 8 inches thick, on 2 helical pilings, 8 to 10 feet from the bank will be installed. And only one tree, which is currently leaning over the river, is allowed to be cut, and the debris have to be removed either on that property or out at the marina across the river, but not just dropped into the river and floated away.
And close the hearing.
And close the hearing.
Second.
Seconded? Any questions on the motion before us? We ready to vote? Okay, all in favor of the motion to close the hearing and accept the notice of intent for a new dock on the Merrimack River and issue the orders of condition as noted in the motion, say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed?
I'll abstain.
1 abstention and 5 yes.
4.
4 yes.
4?
Yeah.
Terry recused himself.
Oh, I'm sorry. I knew that he was here.
For the one that he can.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Thanks.
Okay. Moving on then. We've got a GRDA for 43 Center Street to repave existing paved driveway within the buffer zone.
Yes, I will be presenting this one this evening.
Do we have it in our packet?
Yep. Yep, and, oh, sorry, I thought I was showing this. I'll, put it up on the board as well, so I can kind of talk you through it. Sorry, give me a second. Alrighty. That's very annoying that that's there. Can I move you? Oh, there you go, okay. All right, so, as you can see in this photo, I have up right here in this area. This homeowner installed a new septic system, which you can see to the left here, a couple years ago. And as part of that, there was, the pump that was installed under the driveway to the house. And you can see that there were some issues with the patchwork that was done on it, and there are cracks in it. The cracks, because the piping goes to his basement, the cracks cause leakage in his basement. So he's looking to repave it. Just the section from this crack that you see here onward, not the whole thing. This is a view, again, so this is the continuation of the crack, and then the rest of the driveway is to the left here. And that is Johnson's Pond, obviously. So yes, it's going from asphalt to asphalt. They are just looking to fix their driveway.
And the yellow lines in that picture, that's just pointing to the crack, it's not that they're gonna go on the grass there?
That was dig safe.
Okay.
That was just dig safe. I think he said it was their natural gas line or something. But no, that's all that is. They're not expanding the paved area at all. They're just,
So the crack in the driveway is causing the basement to take on water?
the crack, this down here. I didn't take a good picture of it, but so the gentleman was explaining to me that when the septic system went in, they hadn't fully patched this connection point with asphalt yet, but then a large rainstorm came and it wasn't patched up, so him and his son-in-law just went in with some quick concrete to patch it up, and it's failed. So he needs to repave it, and obviously, I mean, we know how much rain we've gotten this summer, so it's gotten worse, so.
I'm guessing that's not going to fix the problem.
They'll have a nice driveway.
They'll have a nice driveway.
Have a nice driveway.
Are they repaving the whole thing or just patching it?
They're gonna repave from this crack to the end of the driveway. So not the whole thing, just that portion.
Okay.
From there to the street?
No, they're not paving anywhere up to the street. Hold on, oh, here we go, okay. So, I couldn't see the crack on the map, so, but more or less the crack was right about here on the driveway, and they're paving from here down. You can actually see that white patch is the quick concrete that he had installed. They're not paving up, they're just doing from here down.
Okay, so this house is right on the pond, it's not across the street from the pond?
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
And it's very much would be a local-only permit. This doesn't, hit any of the triggers for a DEP filing.
Anybody have any further questions about this?
This would be a great place for a more pervious surface. Just commenting.
Well, that would let the water through.
If that's the mechanism.
If that's the problem.
If that's the
I'm-
mechanism.
I mean,
I'm skeptical.
Next to the pond with asphalt.
Yeah.
I suspect the water's coming from other places, but that's their issue. Erosion control,
I mean, there's nothing really to be eroded away.
well, they're digging up the driveway, aren't they?
Next to the pond.
Are you-
Probably just pull up the asphalt,
I think,
lower it, and then go
Ju-
down.
Any sentence that has the word "just" in it always makes me a little
I
suspicious.
think you need something from the end of the house past where they're doing the asphalt. to the- Yeah.
So they could just put
It's a
a,
downslope too.
Yeah, like a filter
they can
sock.
put a silter sock.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm
silk
not
sock.
asking for. And maybe 5 feet beyond the driveway on either side, kind of thing.
Boy, doesn't it slope down, all go down?
Just be on the,
Down
on
the
on the.
Like at the end,
Yep.
where do you mean, Terry?
Oh, in the back, at the,
yeah, down where
Where
would
they're-
be the most use.
yes.
Oh, but it's only on one side of the driveway.
One
though.
side driveway.
I think so, it's not gonna,
Yeah.
Oh, I thought.
So the
we don't have
drive-
to worry about erosion going
He did say
uphill.
both sides.
He said both sides.
Okay.
The driveway stops right here, so there's still house
Right,
on
you
this
have- yeah,
side.
We're just talking from
Okay.
the end of the house to where the.
To that,
Exactly,
just
right
past
there.
the-
to where that blue line is, or
Right.
wherever. Yeah, and a little bit beyond.
So maybe like 10 feet beyond the crack or beyond the edge of work or whatever,
Yes.
right, 10 feet?
10 feet's a good number.
I guess whatever's easiest for them, give them an option, either hay bales or filter sock.
Yeah, something that small, hay bales is probably easier.
Might be easier to get.
I mean, can you buy 20 feet of filter stock?
That's what I'm thinking, you gotta get a roll, right?
Yeah, and those are big rolls.
All right, is there a motion on this?
I'll make a motion, wait, is this a GRDA?
This is a local GRDA, yes.
So a negative determination, right, Mike?
Yep.
for the application at 43 Center Street for the driveway repaving. And included in the approval letter is the addition of some erosion control from the house to about approximately 10 feet beyond the edge of work on the driveway itself.
Second.
Any questions on the motion? So we're issuing a negative determination, which means that there's basically no impact to the jurisdictional area, and we're just asking for a silt sock to be placed between the work.
Or
Or hay bales.
Hay bales.
Yeah, silt sock or whatever erosion.
Whatever's
control.
easiest, cheapest, fastest.
Between the area of work and the pond. Any discussions on the motion? Questions? No, hearing none, then we'll take a vote. All in favor of the motion to approve the work with a negative determination and the addition of the erosion control, say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Unanimous.
Mike, if you want to go out of order to do the tree issues prior to Pentucket Regional School, I'll be presenting for the school today.
You are?
I will be, yeah.
Are you ready to do that now?
I am, if you want.
Okay,
to.
then go ahead.
Alrighty, so at the last meeting, I mentioned how the school was having some issues regarding the final water quality structure that was going in on the Groveland side. There were some issues with the grades. Kyle Leone, the project manager, goes into much more detail about that in that letter that I had included in your meeting packet. So to make a long story short, their suggestion for a fix was to add in that second pipe with a flared end. It is going to essentially function the exact same way that it was intended to function, but it'll just have a different outlet point. So that is that. Where would that be? One second. I received some photos today of it. As you can imagine, it has been a bit challenging for them lately with the water. Sorry, I'm just trying to find the pictures that were sent today. I'm trying to talk at the same time, and it's not working.
Are these them? These?
No, I only received them today. Those were included, so that was the photos those photos are, here are the colored versions. So this is the culvert. You can't even see the top of it. The water level is so high. So the water quality structure is up here, and the inlet of the water quality structure into this culvert was 3 feet lower than the water level.
Wow.
So it would never function properly, obviously. And so you can again see that's where the culvert is. Around this area right here is approximately where that flared end would be, discharging. Just another photo of the culvert. And again, another photo of the culvert. And if you give me 1 second. Hold on. Sorry. I got these this afternoon. Oh, you can see them. Oh boy. Okay, hold on. Forgive me, I am working to figure out oh no, it's, okay, hold on. What's going on here?
I just want to get your name up there.
Yeah. Lights.
So essentially, I'm fine. I'm causing these problems myself. Okay, there we go. So, this is the road this way. the culvert's right there, and this is the water quality structure flare down right now. The riprap is temporary, but there for stabilization purposes. It will eventually be loomed and seeded with a conservation seed mix. We are just getting another inch of rain on Friday. They say an inch, it could be 7.
Be a quarter.
It could be, yeah, who knows, who knows? So they wanted to get some riprap down because they didn't think it was going to be worth it to loom and seed it if it was just all going to wash away.
Amen.
So that's why it looks like this at the moment. But yeah, this was kind of from, I mean, what was included in your meeting packet was from the engineers, the RFI that the engineers submitted, and this was kind of this was really the only solution that was viable. Another fix they're hoping to make is to clean out that culvert to help with the flow to maybe lower the water level. That's difficult for a number of reasons, all of them political. But
What does
Political?
clean out mean? Like,
just like with any culvert,
Dredge?
it's culverts get clogged with branches that flow through them.
Right.
Trash, I'm sure, as well, but it's just part of regular stormwater maintenance.
So grubbing it out with a little backhoe or something.
Generally, I know the way different companies do it differently, but I know, when the highway department cleans out a culvert, sometimes they'll just put a tire at the end of a chain and drag it on through the culvert to clear it out. So it depends on, kind of who's doing it, I think.
and why they're not being allowed to do it?
No, it's more so who's responsible for the culvert.
Okay.
In the sense that, while it is in the town of Groveland, that culvert doesn't tie into any Groveland infrastructure. That
Right.
culvert's solely there to enter the school. So why is it only Groveland's responsibility when the school is the responsibility of Groveland, West Newbury, and Merrimack?
Yeah.
That's true.
So,
Okay.
has nothing to do with the commission. It's just a lot of fun to deal with on my end.
So the solution is in place.
It needed
except
to
for
be.
some loom covering, so what do we?
Just
Just
to,
reporting this to us?
Just kind of just an
Yeah.
update?
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
Okay.
I don't have to lose sleep.
No, we really should
we should
vote
make a
to
motion
approve
to
a
endorse
minor
the.
modification to
Yeah.
our
Okay.
orders of condition.
The reason it was done prior to was because the way it was sitting before was, action needed to
No, I
be
understand.
taken.
There's no-
Um,
but I just
It was, the
wondering.
way it was sitting was not okay. They had it, with erosion controls and whatnot, but it was completely unstabilized and, again, they had the controls in place, but
When does the current order of conditions run out?
November 1st or October
October 30, okay. so-
31st. They're gonna be out of there by then.
All right, all right.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's fair to ask, though.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, fair enough, absolutely. No, as the only,
I mean, they thought they'd be done by the end of June, right?
yes.
So,
Substantial
So there you
completion
go.
was supposed to be end of June.
yep, things
The
happen.
only things in regards to this that need to be completed are, hold on, I received a list. Paving, setting of the curb in this area, paving in this area, and then again, the loom and seed need to go down. And the markers need to go in. And I think the last rainstorm washed away all the hydro seed in the other areas.
Sure it did.
So that might need to be redone again, but this is the last major item. So, but yes, as Mike said, a motion and vote of the board should be done.
All right, so I move that we approve these modifications to the plan as presented.
Second.
Well, the modification that we want to make is to our orders of condition that we issued under a Groveland notice of intent.
So do you want to issue an amended notice of intent?
No, we just want to allow we'll take a vote to allow, similar to what you're saying, just, we can vote to allow a minor modification without, redoing the whole thing.
To
Or an
the-
amendment. It doesn't even require an amendment if it's a minor modification.
Okay. Do you need me to,
Just reword your motion.
I move that we accept these minor modifications to the notice of intent as have been presented.
Yeah, in our orders of condition.
I just said, didn't I?
Well,
in I'm sorry, in the orders of condition.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is there a second on
Second.
that? Okay, moved and seconded. Any questions on the motion? You're going to look at it again, right? When are you going?
Tomorrow,
Tomorrow?
yep,
What time?
1:30.
Anyone want to go look at it? Go at 1:30,
I would, I have to work.
right there at the, unfortunately, right there at the opening to the driveway. We've been over there several times. I saw it back in July, I believe, when it was a lot drier, and it didn't quite look so bad as in these photos.
Yep.
All right, we'll take a vote then. All in favor of approving the minor modification at Pentucket Regional School District for the culvert in our orders of condition previously issued, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous.
Just a funny anecdote. One of the manhole covers at the school in the last rain event got like blown off. Those things weigh like 300 pounds.
By water?
Yeah. On the West Newbury side, one of them handles the stormwater from Farm Lane as well, and it was that one, as you can imagine, that receives a lot of runoff. But yeah, it didn't like explode, obviously, but it moved like it.
Wow.
Crazy. Yeah, that's all.
Green.
Okay, so picking up kind of where we left off at our last meeting on our discussion of trees, I did send out a plan for, this was at BZ Park, a plan for 2023, 2024 that addresses some of those issues that we discussed and a few others. But before we talk about that, Diane, we wanted to have Diane come and just tell us a little bit briefly about the reforestation project that's going on at the top of the hill there.
Hi, first off, thank you all for supporting this project. I have been planting native perennials up there for 12 years. So as a master gardener, I made it a master gardener project, and I have 4 to 6 master gardeners coming every other Friday morning, and we weed, we prune, we plant. We've made that whole space fantastic looking. This project came up because some of the redbud trees we planted at the top of the hill were getting encroached by the bittersweet vines that were in this site that we're talking about. They were literally sticking their little fingers out and wrapping themselves around the new redbud trees. So I went ballistic and put this mission statement together and sent it to Mike, and in the town meeting, as you know, it got approved as part of the tree. Oh, sorry, is that no? Sounded like they heard me okay, though. It got approved, and so I'm grateful for that. We're continuing. The first phase of the project has been almost complete, and the almost is the part that I want to talk to you about. If you back up to the first slide, Annie, that would be great. Yeah. So the intent of the area that we have cleared, or Steve Collins has cleared, is to make a pocket forest. So these are all the reasons why this area is important. You can read it for yourself, but it's going to be an educational demonstration project for the town of Groveland to explain the difference and the importance of native trees, to be able to plant native trees in your own yard, understand the difference between invasives and natives. The method that we're using is called the Miyawaki method. It was discovered decades ago by this pretty famous botanist who has shown around the world that these pocket forests grow 30% faster than traditional planting. So we're going to use those methods, which means native trees, good preparation of soil, planting very close together, and with a certain percentage of climax trees, the trees that will be the tallest, a smaller percentage of sub-trees, and a very smaller percentage of shrubs and perennials below that. So this all goes according to a scientific report. Any questions on what we're doing? So it's very important that we talk about the difference between invasive trees, invasive vines that take the place of native trees and vines. And of course, we know that natives are beneficial for the environment, for plants, for bees and animals, and for sustainability of the area. We hope to put 2 paths through the area. It's about 1/3 of an acre, 9,000-ish square feet. We hope to put 2 paths. We've discovered a foundation around the back side, so it's kind of a lower area, and the paths would end at the foundation, and there'd be like a gathering place for teachers, anybody who wants to educate anyone, us, about what we're doing there. Okay, Annie, you could go ahead. So the first part, this is Steve Collins up in his bucket truck, taking the vines off this, and go to the second, please, elm tree. We discovered 2 American elms back there. These were being encroached and invaded by bittersweet vines. They took out 6 dump truck loads of vines out of this area. That's a huge amount of junk that came out. You can see the foundation at the back there as well. So we're preserving these beautiful American elms. They were not going to be preserved had we not done this project. They would have been wrapped around and eventually killed. You can see that the area has now been mostly cleared. I don't have a picture of the issue here, but at the very edge in the front of the section are 2 good-sized Norway maples. Norway maples are invasive species. They're on the Massachusetts invasive species list. The simple fact is that there's a big difference between invasive trees and American elms. Invasive trees need to be, we need to educate the public about what these are and why they need to be removed. Our plan here is to plant hundreds of trees, native trees. We can't plant them with Norway maples. Norway maples were brought to this country for their quote-unquote shade value. Well, yes, they produce a lot of leaves because they have an extensive underground root system that sucks up all the water and doesn't allow anything else to grow around those trees. They are the opposite of what we're trying to do there. So I really want these non-native trees to come down. We have enough money in the budget. I got a quote today from Steve Collins to take just those 2 trees down of $1,500, cart them away. If these trees come down later, it will be possibly 3 times as expensive because we're going to be putting up a deer fence around the new trees that we're planting. That's in the budget. And you can't easily take down these trees later. I brought with me the landscape architect who's been volunteering with us on this project, Willow Chile. She's a master's in landscape architecture, has done hundreds of public projects, and has been extremely helpful with planning this whole area for us. Is there anything else you want to say?
Sure. Hi, how are you? My name is Willow Chile. I'm actually from Andover. And I just wanted to say, in terms of the expense, is to consider also leaving these invasive species trees as they germinate tons and tons of seedlings. It will increase the labor that volunteers need to do to keep after those seedlings. There's going to need to be weeding and invasive management anyway, and these trees will make that much more difficult. There's also going to be temporary irrigation on the site to ensure that investment. This is a tremendous investment of time, materials, everything else, labor, and so having these trees on the site will also impact the amount of water because of those roots. So we're going to be, temporarily irrigating until things get established, and a lot of that water will be going into these invasive species rather than into the bulk of the project and the bulk of where that money needs to go. So it's a little bit contradictory to leave these in place and then be trying to get new things to establish because they're in this invasive species, and that's what they do. So that's just one point I wanted to make, that it's also the time and material and labor of so many wonderful people. I think, too, the recent Eagle Tribune article has been fabulous press for Groveland and fabulous press for Diane here. And I think as people get to know this project and want to come and visit it and learn from it, leaving, too, Norway maples in that prominent position, I think undercuts a lot of the message that the folks are trying to get across, and the potential for education for what folks can do in their own backyard. You can take down these trees, you can replant, you can do it in a way that's very successful and not necessarily that expensive. You can start with smaller materials and have a lot of success and have it look good. The final thing I wanted to say is that from an aesthetic point of view, there will be sections of this, because of that interaction with the public, we're going to go out and we're going to stake particular trees that we know will appeal and enhance the event space value of this property. We know folks are having weddings there. They might want to take their photo against some lovely ornamental native trees or something like that. So we're very aware of that aspect of it. So we will be staking some specific locations to address that and make that, again, a really nice entry space into this educational piece. So again, having those enormous Norway maples is going to impede our ability to even stake and make some nice changes that will benefit the event space. So I think those were the main things I wanted to say. Yeah.
Questions?
Yes. So, Diane, we walked the site the other day, and I pointed out that there are at least 2 or 3 more Norway maples in the corner of the parcel.
There are.
So first of all, how are we going to address those, and why aren't you proposing that we take those down?
I would love those to come down, Mike. I would have to look more closely at the budget and make sure that we have enough money for those to come down right away. They're in a corner that makes it a little easier to take them down later, if that's what you would like. I'm willing to consider that compromise, of course. But the 2 that are at the front their root system is right into the middle of the area we're hoping to plant, and they're just in the way. And it's clear that, as Willa said, that we're trying to educate the public. We're trying to teach people the difference between invasive trees. There are other invasive trees out there as well. The tree of heaven. Stephanie knows about that one. And the difference between those and preserving Groveland's wonderful trees like the elms, the ones we found there. It's amazing that we have 2 American elms there. This is like something that should be shouted all over the, the map. And we have protected them. We are allowing them to grow and prosper. So if we're talking about an educational program, we've got to do it right. Steph? Question?
What's your planting timeline?
So the timeline for the rest of the project, hopefully, is to take those down. The next thing to happen is I've got a crew of volunteers to lay cardboard on the whole site. Because if you keep a little piece of bittersweet in the soil, it'll start growing again. So we're doing our best to keep that down. And then I've got compost coming on top, 4 inches of compost from a facility called the Dirt Doctors, who have already done business with Groveland, so they're giving us a great deal. And laying the paths, I hope to mark them before the winter, and also I hope to get the deer fence up before the winter. The planting will happen on successive Saturdays next April. We will use this fall, a team of master gardeners, Willow, Mike, will meet every other Friday morning to make a determination of which trees to buy, where to buy them, where to place them. And we have to have that all done by December,
Okay.
when the order goes into for the trees.
And the site that's in Cambridge that I know you've talked about.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, thank you for bringing that up. So, Annie, could you go back to the slides, please? Because I did put. So, this type of planting, as I mentioned, is a Miyawaki forest, and there are hundreds, and if not thousands, around the world in places, mostly in places of inner cities where they really need to shade some of the cities. There are very few of them in the United States. Cambridge, Massachusetts has planted one less than 2 years ago. This is the growth. I went last week to look at it. In less than 2 years, there are trees in the middle that are 8 and 10 foot tall. There are lots of shrubs that are 4 to 6 foot tall. These things grow very quickly. You can show the next one too. I don't know if it shows it any better. The next, the last, oh, wasn't there one more? Yes. There. That happens to be the woman who planted the trees. She's called a forest maker. So that's the forest behind her.
Oh, wow. So this is a destination for ecologists and landscape architects and
yes, absolutely.
environmental
there are very few of
scientists.
them in the country. There are more and more because it's proven so successful at growing fast-growing native trees. That's what we want to do. There's no reason why not to, but we, really want to do it right. Thanks, Annie.
Does the town have a big pile of compost somewhere?
Yes.
Is it not suitable?
It's not screened, for one thing, which means it's full of,
Stuff. Japanese knotweed and whatever.
it's not heated to the right temperature. It's not anything. It's just
It's not treated, it's just
It's not
piled.
treated in any way. It's just, I have used it. We used it at the perennial gardens that we planted up there years ago. It's okay. It's okay, but we end up taking refuse, trash out of it for months. This
Not a
stuff.
program, it's just a
not
pile.
good.
Okay.
It's not good. It would be wonderful if the town of Groveland was able to have a compost facility down there. It would be absolutely wonderful.
Wow.
But we don't have it.
And do you have cardboard? Do you need cardboard?
So a friend of mine works at Chesterton, contacted the environmental people there, and they are delighted to bring truckloads. They brought one truckload already on Tuesday. So they said to me, how much do you want? And I said, as much as you have, and she laughed. You know, like, we have enough to cover the city of the town of Groveland. So I think we'll have enough cardboard.
All right.
If you have large sheets and you
Well,
want to drop them off, that's
Yeah,
fine.
I do Habitat for Humanity, and
Oh.
they have, the siding comes in like 16 foot long by maybe, when it folds out, it's maybe
3 or 4
3 or
feet.
4 feet wide.
Oh, that would be great.
And the same, to a lesser extent, the flooring comes in pretty decent sized ones.
Yeah, so large sheets of cardboard,
But if,
I
but
would
if,
love.
but if they are supplying locally all the cardboard you need,
They are. They're not all large sheets. Some of them are.
And when's your project, Terry? 'Cause
Well,
I think she needs it by
that's a-
September.
September 1 is cardboard day.
that ain't gonna happen.
That's,
Oh, all right.
Um,
Well,
You know, if it had been 2 months ago,
would have
piece of
been-
cake.
Yeah.
maybe 2 or 3 months from now, there'll be siding, but September 1.
We should be done and the compost should
Tell
be on
those people
top.
at Chesterton, thank you very much.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
for
they
sure.
have saved me.
So I just want to make sure I understand the discussion.
Sure.
There's one tree that's dead that I think we voted last time because it's a hazard, it's gone, or it's going to be taken
Two,
away.
isn't it?
2?
3 did.
3.
I thought there were 2 that were dead and 1 that's,
No, there were
3 dead
three,
trees.
3
Dead.
dead ones.
oh, the 2 that are together, right? Or something.
Were there
We
3
left-
dead or 2 dead
3
and 1
dead,
almost dead?
1 maple that is, we're going to watch, and then the 2 Norways.
Yeah, we left an oak and a cherry that were also entwined with vines on the front edge of the property, partly as a showpiece. This is what vines do to trees. And since they were native trees, we left them.
Very
The
top
rest
of
of
the
it
hill.
that came down were dead trees and vines.
Okay.
Yeah, and then you go
So
around
the,
the
because
road
I'm
that goes
trying to remember last
very-
meeting, and thank you for coming, because that was, we wanted to get a better understanding of what's going on.
Yes, yes, yes.
The question now is really about just the 2 Norway maples, and if I
Yeah.
understand
Yeah.
what you're saying, we're going to be spending money and people's time and volunteering efforts, whatnot, to set it all up, and then money for the irrigation. And the thought is, you're saying it's close, and I'm not an expert in trees, but close enough that you think it's going to have a negative effect on the irrigation that you do and the viability of the money we're spending on the native trees.
Absolutely. That's what Norway maples do. They suck up the water.
Right.
And so things that you plant on top of their root systems don't grow.
Okay. Because I was one of the people last time, I'm not a tree expert, so
But we're all
we
learning.
were trying to understand, what's the big deal about waiting another year and then evaluating, because we don't want to appear as like the Conservation Commission that goes and cuts all the trees down in town. That's sort of,
But we're trying to distinguive between invasive trees and native trees.
I get you.
Okay.
But you know how the,
I know. It's a tough
and
position.
I think the education point here is, this is why Norway maples are bad for native species.
Yes.
Well,
that's
and
understood.
if it's going to cost more money to do it a year from now because you're working around stuff that's already in place.
Right. And
In addition to the negative impacts, the whole costing more money thing,
Well, that's my point. If we spend a lot of money on a bunch of native trees and half of them fail, in my opinion, we've wasted money.
Yes.
or if we spend a lot of money making sure they don't fail.
Yeah,
That we
and
wouldn't have
water
to.
and-
Yeah.
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 Not to mention the time of the volunteers.
Yeah, that time.
Volunteer time's free, young lady, you should know that.
Exhausting, though.
So in the grand scheme of thing, I'm sorry, I don't know the details of the budget from the CPA, but, so it's another $1,500 is what we're talking about
For those two.
for those
Yeah.
two. And what was the approximate total CPA grant? It was,
35,000 altogether for this project.
right, so my guess is the trees you're buying and stuff are probably going to be way up there compared to the $1,500.
We're not buying big trees. We're buying some big trees, hopefully. We've already had a whole bunch potted up and donated. So people are doing that for us. It's wonderful. But for the bulk of the trees, there'll be saplings. They'll be 2 foot, 1 foot. They'll be real small.
10-inch.
So, they'll have a good chance of making it if done right.
Right. And what's a ballpark do you think it's going to all cost for those?
For buying the trees?
For buying, yeah, all the native species that we want to put, whether it's trees or shrubs or whatever we're putting in there.
I have to look on my budget page. If you'll give
I'm
me-
just trying to figure out, like, you know, if someone says, oh, we're spending another $1,500, but, you know, if, for example, if we're spending $5,000 on all this stuff,
Yeah, I think
and
I
we're
would-
risking possibly losing some of that,
Right.
It's insurance.
yeah.
Mike, do you have the budget in front of you? I know you emailed it to me again, but I didn't get a copy of it. I think it was 4,000 we put down for buying trees. And irrigation, irrigation has got to be figured out, so that's going to be interesting. And of course, that's just temporary. It's 2 years. I mean, you know, we don't know if next summer is going to be like this summer or the previous summer, so we have
Right.
to be prepared.
And it's town water?
Yes, but I
Is
put,
it?
in the budget, there's money to buy water
Okay.
from, at VC,
The $6,000.
for buying trees. Yeah, so that's more than enough, I think, given that we're getting some donations
Right.
as well. You two can sponsor a tree.
That's a good idea.
Oh, and then there's the deer fence, you know. The volunteers, don't know this yet, not all of them, we're going to be pounding the deer fence in ourselves, but it's going to cost $4,000 to buy it and put it in ourselves.
All the material.
Because it's a huge perimeter.
Right.
And again, if we don't do that,
And
the
these,
saplings
How
are
tall
gone.
is that going to be?
It's 8 foot,
8 foot?
yeah.
And you
And-
got like steel stakes?
Yep,
You
yep,
have a fence post pounder?
we do.
Okay.
so the
'Cause if
two-
you didn't,
Wanna come help?
If
We
you
could use
didn't,
it.
I've got one.
Okay, oh, that's good to know.
so the two Norway maples are going to be inside that deer fence?
They're on the fence. They're on the fence. They're in the way. They're also in the way of dumping compost. You know, truck has to come in and dump right there. I don't know how the truck's going to do it with them there. Maybe the truck can,
Does anyone have a sense of whatever events are going on there, if taking these trees down is going to negatively impact that? Like, would someone go and say, oh, I'm not going to come here now because these trees are gone?
there's one wedding happening next weekend outside, and that's it for outside weddings for this year.
Right.
There's another wedding happening in November, but it's inside.
And when would Stevie be able to go in there and cut those down?
Well, originally, we talked to him about doing it in October,
Okay, so after everything?
after the leaves are down,
Well, and after any wedding?
Right.
and
Sure.
after any
Stuff.
events that might be up there, but there isn't any. And, you know, I know at one point someone talked about they provide shade for these weddings. They really don't. They provide shade on the road. So that doesn't, you know.
So not where people normally set up
it's-
chairs or tables or whatever,
Yeah,
tent or whatever they're
Yeah,
doing.
and as Willow said, we're going to plant, knowing that there's weddings happening there, we're going to plant things that are beautiful and floriferous, that's a word, right there on the edge, so that in, 2 to 3 years, which is not a long time, that area will look really fantastic. Again, it won't if the Norway maples stay up. Even one more year. If they stay up one more year, and somehow you manage to get the money to take them down then, we can't plant in the middle of the summer. And those roots have to rot. They need a whole winter, so you're talking a whole nother year before I can plant.
Right.
It messes the whole project up.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I didn't think of all this yesterday when we walked around. But thinking about it at 3 AM, I went, oh my God, this can't, this can't happen. So I really appreciate your consideration of getting Steve Collins back and taking at least those two down.
I don't think we're going to be able to have him do it, Diane, but I'll talk to you about that later.
Okay.
So how many Norway maples did he already take down? Didn't he already take down 6?
No, he didn't take any down. Doug took a few down.
Well, I'm
before-
saying, how many were removed, though? 6, half a dozen, I think
No,
it
there were
was.
no Norway maples back there.
No, there were. There were.
Well, if
There
there
were
were,
at
they were
least 4
dead
of them.
ones. I don't know,
Yeah.
Mike, because that area was so shrubbed with vines and that I couldn't see any Norway maples. I know Doug took some trees down.
Yeah. So the ones that he took down were Norway maples. They all had X's on them
Yes.
to be removed, right?
Yes.
So we already took down at least 4 of them that I'm aware of.
Did anybody object to that?
Did anybody object to it?
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Who?
I objected to
Oh,
it.
you did, okay.
But, I think, like I say, we have to be
The
careful.
concern was that the townspeople would be
Well,
confused by
Yes.
trees being taken down.
Sure.
Were any other townspeople confused by trees being taken down in an area where they want to grow more trees? Or was it just you?
Nobody probably knew those trees were taken down.
Okay.
Well, I think it would help, I don't know what your plan is, but whether there's a sign or, maybe there's something we can put on the town website where, hey, look what's
Educational.
happening at VZ, and,
You know what? There is a sign there that says
okay.
this very thing that you're talking about.
Okay,
I
so
put it up
s-
2 months ago.
okay.
And it says exactly that. It says what's happening here. And it's a big sign.
Well, no, good. So my point is, if someone complains to us or like sees me
We
at
can
Market
refer.
Basket, you can say, hey, well, here's what's going on, go look at the sign.
Yeah, it's already
And,
been there.
and it's
Do you have
all
a
part of a plan.
photo of it or something that we could pass
I
on?
just want to reiterate again, this is invasive species removal.
We understand that.
Yeah,
But the
so-
whole idea is, if we've got something, it's important to diffuse arguments quickly if they're not strong arguments.
Totally
And if you
understood.
don't say, here is something you can read about right then and there, then it becomes embedded in.
Someone will put a message on
Perfect.
Facebook and then
If
it'll.
you can send that to Annie, maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great, yeah.
Annie says, don't
Thank you,
drag
Annie."
me into this. Or
Well, the other thing is that Diane is going to give us a monthly report about the reforestation project. We're going to have kind of a project diary about what goes on there, because since it is primarily a demonstration project, we want to make sure that everybody knows about it, knows what the purpose is, can go up there and say, oh, I want to do something like this in my yard, how do I do it? We're going to put our experiences, we're going to document the failures that we have, because we'll have failures, no doubt. So, personally, that's why I'm opposed to taking these trees down right now. I'm not opposed to taking them down eventually. I think that leaving them up another year is not going to have any impact on what's being done. That area can be avoided from planting, and I discussed this with Diane yesterday, but after that, she kind of changed her mind, so that's okay. But, I think it's important to document what we're doing, how we did it, and so that's what she's going to provide, is a monthly report to us, and then we can set up something on our webpage to put that stuff out. As far as, this perception, that's primarily why I object to those 2 more trees being taken down, because if you were at town meeting this year, you would have heard several bad comments about trees, which made no sense, and also VZ Park. So when you put those 2 things together, People are aware of what's going on, and they will use whatever they can against us anytime that we request funding, CPA funding, or whatever kind of funding we request. Even if we're not requesting funding, they have bad things to say about VZ. It's not a lot of people, but, you know, it's out there. And so, you know, that's why I think we have to take a measured approach with this and balance what we're doing. Yes, we've taken, you know, 4 or 5 of these things down. We're taking some dead trees down, but we're also being careful about it. We're doing it in a measured fashion. So that's why I recommend that we do not take those trees down this year, that we review the process next year. So I put together a plan for what I would propose, and it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 recommendations. The Norway maple issue is only one of them, but there's other things here. So we already voted last time to take down the 3 dead trees, and we're going to leave the large maple that's in front of the main building and review it next year to see where it's at. Then there's other problem trees, as I mentioned earlier, at the edge of the reforestation site that also should be evaluated. There's 2 or 3 more Norway maples in the corner, and then there's a couple of other large trees with large dead branches overhanging the area or next to it. So again, it would be nice to take those down this year, and those are not taking trees down, but just taking the dead portions off. But funding, you know, is going to be a problem. And then the CPA tree grant also addressed a project along Washington Street that's going to take place. I've gone through the funding process. This is the same CPA tree grant included that the $35,000 is part of. So that's proceeding. On that front, we are planting a dozen new maple and oak trees there, and bunch of brush, and mostly it's improving the Washington Street, along Washington Street from 199 down.
That'll
to
improve perception a whole lot.
Yeah, right.
That's where the goats are right now?
Yeah.
That area?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
Where
Yeah, and
goats
it goes
go
all
on.
the way down to the next property.
Are you planting elms there, Mike?
No. And then the last thing is the Tree City USA. That was also part of the CPA tree grant. So we need to start doing some work on that. I'm going to start getting a volunteer to start pursuing that. It's a bigger thing than it sounds
The
like.
Tree City?
Yeah.
I'm excited about that.
It's very exciting.
So these are all issues that, you know, I want to make sure we're showing how much we are concerned about trees, why we ask the applicant today was taking down a tree that's leaning over the river to replace it with something. On a regular basis, I
With a
think we
native.
ought to start doing that, right?
With the native, yes.
Yes, I agree, but I love this whole tree plan, except I do really feel like we need to take these invasive Norways that are impeding the project down. And why can't we make it a demonstration? Why can't we announce, hey, look at these terrible trees that we're removing in order to plant this amazing forest of native plants that will support our ecosystem?
Well, we're going to do, we can do that, but, you know, it's just about managing how it looks. And I don't think the people who are complaining about us funding trees care whether they're invasive trees, native trees,
But we care.
non-native trees.
You
I
guys
know
care.
we do care,
You
but I
guys
don't
care.
think they care. I don't care what they have to say, but I'm just talking about the the optics and perception of it, that's all.
Well,
Mike,
they're
I
going to be
would-
upset no matter what.
Yeah, I
so
would-
I don't think pandering to them.
No,
is-
that's not pandering, believe me.
Okay.
No, I think I would totally agree with you, Mike. I mean, there's stuff that people post online. People are still complaining about VZ, which happened 24 years ago or 27, whatever it was. It escapes me right now, but someone was going on a rant the other day about something. The water line they put in on King Street for the new development. Why is the town spending, like, the point is they don't have the facts. You know,
right.
they just go off on the field. So I think in this case, I mean, so last time we met, I, myself at least, and I think others, we didn't necessarily have all the facts. In my mind, if I was spending the $6,000 approximately on new stuff, and I knew it's going to be another $1,500 on something that might hurt my investment, it seems prudent, in my mind, to do that now. I think, and if I understand the rationale behind keeping the other Norway maples, besides the fact that it's just more money that we don't necessarily have right now, do you agree that they're far away from this area?
They're far enough, and they're right next to a couple of native trees that kind of overshadow them a little bit.
So they're well-established, and they're probably not,
The
they're not
native-
as negatively impacted.
Right,
as the
right.
others.
You know what the other ones I'm talking about? They're in the corner, near Pocahontas.
I was just going to say, are they near Pocahontas, right?
Well, and it's going to cost more to take them out later.
It's going
That-
to
that
cost
me
more
is
to
a
take them
pretty
out next year.
compelling-
Absolutely cost more.
Pretty compelling argument.
Yeah.
And adversely affect any work you're trying to do there. If you're cutting down a tree and it lands on 10 trees that you just planted.
Oh, God.
Well, that's unfortunate.
I just took a bunch of trees down last year. $1,500 is a pretty good price.
I don't understand why Steve Collins couldn't do this.
I don't want to go into the reasoning. It has to do with the procurement laws. It's kind of an extended explanation that I don't think we need to have in a public meeting, so.
A bid or something
It doesn't
like that.
matter. It doesn't make any difference. We just can't have him do it.
Can we motion?
We have to.
Why not?
I think we have to move on, yeah.
So can I motion to remove the 2 Norway maples that are impeding the progress of our Miyawaki forest at VZ Park
Can you add in the price, please?
for $1,500?
Why don't
hold
you-
on there.
I think what we have to say is that it has to come out of the grant money.
To be,
Why don't you address my recommendations here? And just remove the third recommendation.
okay, so I move to,
We've already
Ex-
addressed 2 of them, haven't we? The first 2 last
Yeah,
week,
but-
last meeting?
so I
You
move
want a comprehensive,
Yeah.
okay, got it.
to
I just
recognize.
want you to accept this plan and just remove number 3 if you'd like.
Excellent. Okay, so I move to recognize and accept this wonderful VZ Park tree plan for 2023 into 2024, accepting the part about the dead trees which have already been removed and the 2 Norway maples which will imminently be removed,
Yeah, that's fine.
as stated.
Second?
Everybody understand what we're voting on?
Not
On the
quite.
recommendations with the exception of 3, which we're removing, all right?
But we, or my opinion at least, I think we should take them now if funds allow, if we can figure out the procurement part of it.
Is that a second motion?
Well, I think it's a clarification of,
Clarifying to allow the
Well,
removal of
removing-
the invasive maples as discussed.
Moving the third one just kicks the can down the road.
No, well, why don't we just have a motion to accept this, right? With the removal of that one, clean
then we
and
can
clear.
do-
And then if you want to make another motion to then take down the Norway maples,
So-
that's fine.
so-
I just want to have a motion in place that just
So
accepts
don't
or
say anything
denies
about
this plan.
the exception of the 3 dead trees, just.
No, just leave
because-
that in there. It
yeah, just
hasn't
leave
been
it in
done
there
yet.
Because it's part of the.
Oh,
And
I
it
thought it
hasn't-
had been done
It
yet.
hasn't
Well,
been
it had
done
been
yet,
done, but
so.
it doesn't hurt to include it again
Yeah,
as an
right.
omnibus.
Right.
Okay, so motion to accept the VZ Park tree plan for 2023, 2024, accepting the recommendation regarding 2 Norway maples.
Yes, that's fine.
Second,
Okay.
in fact.
All right, so we know what we're voting on. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Unanimous.
Motion to remove 2 invasive Norway maples that are impeding the
Second.
of the planned Miyawaki forest.
Second.
Okay,
Give that one to Tom.
all in favor of that motion to remove the 2 Norway maples?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain. Passes 4 to 0 with 2 abstentions.
Okay.
Grazie mille.
Prego. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for all your work.
Diane, can you, Diane?
I'm sure you're being
Stick
paid.
around for a few more minutes and I'll fill you in on what we need to do.
Motion to
Okay, so the next
adjourn.
agenda item is correspondence.
Oh,
I had spoken with someone on the phone about, they wanted to send the commission something they never did regarding Lower Center Street. I'll touch on that in my update. I had also requested Vanessa, the director of VZ, to provide a update to the board on monthly goings-on at VZ, whether that is with wedding events or, you know, other groups that are at the park, you know, just anything that goes on. As you're aware, through a CPC grant, we are doing a feasibility study into VZ, and the ultimate decision is the commission's. And, I mean, I don't think that the commission right now is very involved in VZ. Obviously, we just had that whole conversation about trees, but within the last 6 months before that, how much were we really talking about VZ? So it was my recommendation for them to start giving the board monthly updates, or the commission, I'm sorry, monthly updates. So that's why the correspondence was on there, but I didn't receive anything. Do you want me to just go into my report?
Yeah, go
or-
ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So, to circle back to the Lower Center Street, a resident called. She walks down at Lower Center Street often. And at the bus turnaround, she very graciously had been picking up trash that had been left there. And while she, you know, she said she was, you know, happy to do it, she was getting frustrated with it because it doesn't seem to end, and what could be done about it, et cetera, et cetera. It seems to always be the same person. I told her to contact the police. That is.
Oh, she thinks it's the same person who's leaving the trash?
Yep. So anyway, she was going to write something to the commission, but I never received anything. So, but just wanted to make the commission aware it might be time to schedule another cleanup down there. Then, just so that again, another update, the Open Space and Trails app that we have for mapping of them through MVPC was just updated, or the contract was just renewed, I should say. So that's still ongoing. And the only other update for projects on the horizon is 912 Salem Street submitted their notice of intent today. That is the property that's behind Groveland Gas and Nicole's. Next to and behind, there's a single-family home right to the right if you're looking at it. That whole parcel, I believe, is about 26 acres. They're only proposing to disturb 2 of them. More info to come. Again, I just got that in today. Yeah.
Question, I'm not sure if you know, Annie, on
Yeah.
the bus turnaround on Lower Center, did we ever figure out exactly who owns that? Is that town property?
Oh, I have no idea. That I wasn't sure that there was ever a question
No,
about
that's
who
owned
owned
by
it.
the city of Haverhill.
Okay, so where I'm heading with this is, not that I don't care, but the Conservation Commission always gets calls about people dumping trash. I mean, there's a few places in town where that happens, and it is probably a police matter or something along those lines. And if it's Haverhill, it's probably a Haverhill problem.
I
which they're
think
not gonna
that
do anything about.
the,
It's our problem.
I think that the reason we get the calls is because if you just turn around 180 degrees, there's a sign that says Groveland Conservation Commission area.
I get it, and
Um,
we had talked about putting trash cans down there, and I think the problem was people were dumping too much, and then there was talk about the town would pay for the garbage contract to go down and empty them, and then that became, I don't think it ever happened because everybody just sort of said, no, it's just gonna be a mess.
Yeah.
We had a trash can there, and we removed it because it was being abused.
Yeah, so I guess my point is, I think we're doing as much as we can. I mean, short of like putting up trail cams and trying to get
She
license
actually
plates
did
and-
suggest that and said that she would pay for them, but I haven't heard back from her.
I mean,
I think I would fully support that, and I have no issue, maybe we should install them if, or whatever, or give their approval, but as long as, if the Groveland Police are gonna do something about it, like if they get a photo of a license plate, that they're gonna follow up with it with Haverhill and something gets done, otherwise it's just not gonna stop.
Yeah.
I mean, we had signs that said no dumping, right? But we removed those, didn't we?
But no, they're still there.
Every normal person knows you don't dump something
True.
just anywhere along the road.
I know,
mean-
but I think did it give a fine too? Like a, no?
Yeah, that's if you get caught.
Well, we're about to have a trail cam.
Maybe.
Well, I never heard back from this woman, so no, we're not.
And it's also, and
Let's not jump to that conclusion.
it's meaningless unless someone who has the power to go and investigate who
Enforce.
this is.
And we're
actually
not that
give them a
entity.
fine.
And if it's Haverhill property, then Groveland Police really don't have jurisdiction.
And we can't even put signs up there because, again, it's not our property.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's some problems, but,
There's jurisdictional issues with it for sure.
all right, what else?
Don't we have a document to sign before we leave, right?
No.
Oh, you don't?
Well, I could print it out, but yeah, I never heard back from you. Okay, my draft. I sent it to him like an hour before the
Sorry
meeting, so
about that.
no, this is not, that was a me thing. It's
All
been
right,
very
so-
busy lately.
So but you're also going to have another couple
Yeah.
of documents to
Yeah,
sign,
the
so-
notice, the RDA from the last meeting and the order of condition, RDA for 112, nope, 172 King Street, and then the note.
27 Wood,
Yes, thank you.
right?
The order of
So-
conditions for that one. I'll have those by the end of the day tomorrow.
So you'll put them out in the
Mailbox.
wooden mailbox, so send everybody an
Oh,
email
yeah,
that
certainly.
they're there, and then if everyone can come in the next week or so, week or less, and
Yep.
sign them, that would be great.
Yeah.
So you're all set then, right?
Yes, I am, thank
Okay.
you.
Any items for discussion?
I was driving past VZ Park today and noticed there's a small backhoe parked on, I took a picture of it.
Yep.
Yeah, what's up with that? Is
It's
that
part of
allowed?
the construction.
I know, but can they
for-
park
Yes, they're,
a vehicle that potentially leaks gas and oil right next to the pond?
They're not supposed to park overnight.
Well, wait. I don't know.
Is that for the,
that's being placed there by I believe, the contractor who's doing the Uptack Road
Oh, the
culvert. And so it's covered under the notice of intent that was filed for.
But it's,
And unfortunately, yes, the reason why they're leaving it there, I believe, is because it takes quite an effort to move the boulders out of the way and then drive a tractor in there and then take it out again. Because what they seem to be doing is monitoring and controlling the water flow from the pond when they're doing work over on Uptack Road to stop the water flow. Right now, they've got it, the pond is as high as it can go. And so sometimes I think what they're doing is, when that happens, they got to be able to remove some of the stops to let some of the water flow out when it's not going to affect the culvert. So the current date for the Uptack Road work to be done is September 8th, and I believe that's when, things will be put back to normal over there on Washington Street.
Thanks, Mike.
Sure. Any other items for discussion? No? Okay. Our next meeting, discussion.
Well, I've got some discussion.
On the next meeting?
Well, it's going to lead up to that. Minutes,
Yes.
what's going on?
I found someone to contract the work out to.
Okay, so that will be, are they going to do them retroactively and?
Yep,
and-
I have all my notes from them
So
still.
by our next meeting, we should have minutes to review from previous meetings.
Yep.
And what meeting are you not going to be around for?
September 13th.
Oh.
I move that we don't have a meeting on September 13th, but have a meeting on September 27th.
27th.
The one issue with that is because of the notice of intent that I just received. Because that needs to be heard within 21 days. Yeah. So,
Well, before the 23rd.
Yeah,
Wait,
it's
what's 21
advertised.
days exactly?
Google, 1 second.
The 13th.
I guess we're beyond that anyway, aren't we?
The 13th,
It'd be the
It's
13th.
actually September 13th.
13th.
So, I mean,
Do we
I
have
can
any?
certainly put, memos together.
Well, and did we continue a hearing to
We did.
the 13th also already, that we
Yeah.
have to go back and then?
That doesn't matter, we said the next meeting, or, so I think the only reason why we would need to meet on the 13th is because of that new notice of intent that just arrived today.
Are we allowed to ask if they want to extend it out?
Oh, certainly.
'Cause the
We can do that as
13th, I'm
well.
not going to be in town either.
We can certainly ask them that. They'll be meeting with the planning board on the 5th or 19th.
This is that project you just mentioned?
It is, yep. They have to go through zoning, planning, and conservation
Okay,
Wait, the
so,
meeting on the 19th
with the planning board.
with the planning board?
And they're meeting on
And
the 6th with the zoning board. I have a busy month.
How was that not, how did the 19th still work into the 21-day thing?
That's the planning board.
Right, but is it a continuation, or?
they're not
They have
under
different
the
rules.
same rules.
They have 90 days. If you ever
That's
are
not
wondering why I get confused sometimes when I'm talking about things, it's because of that.
Oh, that's the reason.
Well, it's one of them.
Wow, planning has 3 months.
So
and-
that's,
Change
they,
our rules and
because they
bylaws.
require engineering review. This one
mass-
specifically will
it's a
require a
DEP.
traffic study review.
But I think that.
It's
No,
to
I-
allow for that.
No,
I
no,
get it. I'm
Totally
just-
makes sense.
Okay.
I'm just thinking, we're going to meet on the 13th, we're going to be, oh, wow, that's great and wonderful, okay, let's do a site walk. And it seems like the 13th is difficult to meet, is my guess. But that's just me, okay.
I missed some of that, I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
Okay.
The rules are the rules.
No,
I
so.
mean, we
But
can ask
Rich
them
made
to
a really
extend.
good point. We can certainly ask them to extend it if they're comfortable with that. I mean,
Because they're not going to be starting the project this year.
I don't
right?
know, probably not. I mean,
It's not even if we approved it on the 13th, they'd have to do all their work within 6 weeks.
Yeah, no, it's unlikely.
And
So
then-
it is more likely, I don't see any reason why they wouldn't let us extend it for 2 more weeks.
Let's
So-
let's do that.
So
Let's request
Why don't we
that.
plan
Let's try
on
that.
our next meeting being the 27th, and Annie can check with them tomorrow, and if it has to be on the 13th, we'll have to find a way to do it.
Here, here.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
All
you,
right, so
excellent idea.
plan on the 27th, not on the 13th.
Postpone.
So is it time to move to adjourn?
You can offer a motion to that effect.
I would move to adjourn.
Second.
Ah.
Any questions on the motion? All in favor, say
Aye.
aye.
Aye.